friends, a warm welcome to you all. As mentioned yesterday, we are moving today to the stage of postulancy. It is the second stage on our vocational journey.
Hi, this is Kosu Narona, a teacher from St. Patrick Convent High School, Devlali. Well, St. Patrick Convent High School is run by the Franciscan Hospitaller Sisters, and I've been working here from last 31 years. It's just immense joy and pleasure to work with these sisters. They are so loving, so affectionate, so understanding. I really salute them. Being in the school, I also got an opportunity to stage the life of Mother Clara, St. Francis of Assisi, inspired by the lives of these two great people. Their love for the poor, their kindness, their humility, and their closeness to God. So much so that I decided to be a member of FASFIC, and today I can proudly say that I am a FASFIC member. Right behind me, you can see the formation house of the postulants. And I have got opportunity number of times to interact, to associate with the postulants. And yet this morning, I'm glad that once again I've got an opportunity to interact and converse with two dynamic, aspiring postulants. And here they are. Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope you had a good night's sleep.
Yes.
Are you nervous about the interview today?
Yes, little bit.
Well, I think you will come out of that nervousness as we proceed. But before we begin, let's get to know about the two of you. Your name and where do you come from?
Hi, I'm Rachel Kiri from Manori, Mumbai. At present, I'm in Nasik, Devlali in my formation.
Wow, Mumbai, the capital city of Maharashtra. How do you find life in Mumbai and Nasik?
Climate in Nasik is amazing.
Well, anybody who comes here does fall in love with the climate of Nasik. And you?
Hi, I'm Nancy Hunlingro. I'm from Meghalaya. I'm a postulant in Devlali, Nasik doing my formation years.
Meghalaya is a place which I have always located on a map and always in my dreams, the beauty of that place. And today I'm very lucky to interact with a person from Meghalaya. Well, we are looking forward for a good time together, and let's proceed with our today's short interview. My first question is for you. Rachel, in today's times, the young generation, the young boys and girls are so fascinated by the worldly pleasures. They run after this fast life. They're so attracted to the media, to the gadgets, to the technology, and most of the time they want to spend with their friends. In such times, how did you respond to the call of God and choose this vocation for yourself?
Yes, I was born and brought up in a Catholic family, and so I went to a Catholic school which was run by the Franciscan Hospitaller Sisters, to which I belong now. As a child, my mother took me for the Mass almost every day, but growing in my faith did not matter to me at all.
Well, that's surprising. Then how did you land up into this vocation?
But I was very much impressed by the sisters in my school with whom I studied. And I just loved to be with them, and I noticed how joyful they were.
Well, is there anything about these sisters which inspired you to pick up the Franciscan vocation?
Yes, I was very much impressed by the sisters, by their passion for the children who were in need of their time and attention. Sisters who spend their extra time, especially with the students, those who are struggling in their studies, encouraging them, boost their confidence, and also visiting their families. And I also was very much touched by the simplicity of life that they lived.
Well, Rachel, can you just tell me how old you were at the time when you heard or responded to that first call of God?
I must be around 9 to 10 years. I remember telling my mother, when I will grow up, I want to be a nun as the sisters in my school. And I think it was during that period of my life I heard the first call of God.
Was it that only one call which drew you towards this vocation?
No, as the years went by, I almost forgot about the desire that I had to be a nun. I would spend a lot of time with my friends, enjoying, fooling around. But when God has you in His mind, He knows how to get you back. And that's what happened to me. And once again, when I was doing my college, one of the sisters came to me and invited me for the vocation camp, and I accepted. And as I was in that camp, all of a sudden I felt that strong pull to this way of life, and that's how my desire to be a nun grew more and more within me.
Well, I totally agree with you, Rachel. God has a plan for each one of us, and man cannot go against his plans. Kimensi, our Catholic religion, our Catholic faith has got so many saints. Can you just tell us that why did you choose Saint Francis of Assisi and the Franciscan vocation?
Actually, I did not know anything about Saint Francis before I entered this congregation. I only heard that he was called as the second Christ because of his stigmata. But when I read about his life and reflected quite a lot on him, I feel so much closeness in him. Saint Francis was a worldly person full of enjoyment in his life, but when he was touched by God's grace, everything changed in him, that he was so madly in love with Christ that even people call him as a madman. And that's how I was very much motivated by his conversion, which I can relate to my own. Once upon a time, I was like Saint Francis of Assisi, a worldly person full of enjoyment in my life.
Well, Kimensi, besides being close to God, besides being, getting converted, what else do you like about Saint Francis of Assisi?
Why I like Saint Francis of Assisi? Because he had a great love for animals. He used to talk with them, play with them, and even scolded if they did harm to anybody. And I too love animals because animals are just simple creation of God's beauty, and that's make me feel as a Franciscan.
Well, can you specify what type of animals are you fond of?
Uh, there are so many animals which I like, but I'm very fond of cats and also birds. I love birds when they chirp and when they sing, especially early in the morning.
Well, St. Francis of Assisi has given us a number of sayings, a number of quotes. Can you just tell us that one quote which has really touched you and inspired you?
Yes, there are so many quotes of Saint Francis, but one of my favorite quote which I like to recite, which says, "Do few things, but when you do few things, do them well." Saint Francis of Assisi felt immense joys in doing ordinary things in life, which speak of his humility and simplicity. And this is how Saint Francis of Assisi inspired me to live my vocation as a Franciscan till now.
Well, St. Francis of Assisi is one of my favorite saints too. And from now on, even I will follow this beautiful saying, whatever you do it well. Rachel, do you think you have taken the right decision in choosing a vocation of religious life?
Yes, I have taken a right decision, and I would like to share about my personal experience and how I came close to Jesus and my longingness for him. Before I joined the congregation, I knew Jesus, but I did not have any such God experience in my life.
Then when did you realize the closeness of God?
It's after coming to an convent, I began to know more and more about Jesus, and especially through the Bible, scriptures, which guides me till now. And since then, I always ask and I think that how could I be pleasing to God? And I have so much of longing and yearning for Him.
Well, Rachel, Can you share with us an experience where you felt God is speaking to you?
One of my personal God experience is when I was struggling in my life and in my vocation. And I would spend a lot of time before Jesus pleading for his help. And suddenly I felt that embrace of God and telling me that I am there with you. And after a few moments, I feel that inner peace and joy within me.
So, you think this has helped you to increase your faith in God?
Yes, I can say that this experience have increased my faith and also strengthened my vocation.
My next question is for you, Kimensi. Kimensi, you have spent 2 years in this formation house with the Franciscan Hospitaller Sisters. How do you find life in a convent?
Life in convent is completely different than comparing at home. In convent, it is well organized. We begin our day with morning prayer, followed by the Eucharist. Then we also have different chores to be done like cooking, cleaning, washing and other charges. Then we also have different classes from our sisters, and also sisters from outside comes to take class for us.
That sounds wonderful. What sort of classes do you have here in the convent?
We have classes on scripture, our patron saints, Saint Francis and Saint Clare, life of our founder and foundress, and also human formation, doctrine of the church and psychological. We also have some fun moments.
Wow, that's exciting. Can you specify some fun moments?
Yes, we come together and recreate, watching movies together, and we go for an outing also. Many people used to think life in convent is very serious. Even I used to think the same way before, but now I realize life in convent there is lot of prayer and lot of fun which I enjoy.
Kimensi, what is it about the sisters which makes you feel as a family here in this convent?
I see sisters are very joyful. They are so kind, loving, caring, generous, understanding, and quite available, which make me feel as a family. And I would like to say a life in convent is a really blessing for me. And I'm very happy to introduce my two dynamic sisters who are in this formation house preparing us for this vocation. And here we have Sister Sapna Colasso, our formator, and the assistant, Sister Monica Baptiste. And one of our sisters, Sister Delphine Almeida, is on her holy days.
Morning, sisters.
Good morning.
Sisters, how does it feel to be with these young postulants?
It gives me immense joy to accompany these young postulants in this stage of postulancy and help them discern their vocation. It also makes me hopeful about the future of our congregation and the church, as in this digital world we really don't find young people responding to God's call. And here we have these courageous young girls who are ready to be committed in the service of the Lord.
Well, that sounds great, sisters. It's nice to meet the two of you. Well, the last question of today. In this today's world, the young generations are quite confused of choosing a vocation. What message do you have this young generation for discerning their vocation?
From my personal experience, I can say many young men and women are often confused when it comes to choosing the vocation. When it comes to discerning one's vocation, many young people like me look for tangible signs. But does God really send us tangible signs?
Rachel, she's talking about some tangible signs. Do you think God really sends some signs, some indications for such confused people to show them a direction?
Yes, I believe that God always reveals to us His will, though it may not be always the signs which we are looking for. If you consider entering the religious life and you are confused, I would suggest that you spend time in prayer asking His guidance. Secondly, express your desire to someone you trust It could be your own parents, friends, teachers, or even priest or nun whom you are familiar with. Lastly, listen to your heart and see whether you are feeling joyful within yourself, because joy is a tangible sign of God's presence. If you feel joyful about your desire, that's where God is calling you from.
So if you are confused, remember 3 things. Pray to God for guidance. Speak your desire to someone you trust. And listen to your heart, and you will get an answer. Thank you, Rachel and Kivency, for sharing your views and experiences with our viewers. Well, I had a wonderful time interacting with these 2 dynamic, aspiring postulants. And as I wind up, I would just like to say that God makes no mistake in helping us to choose our vocation. He has a call for each one of us. Hear it and answer it.
Tomorrow we will continue our journey. I'm sure you will all be curious to know what the next stage will be. So we look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we continue our adventure.